Today is the day that we have been talking about and speculating about for some time now. The general election has finally arrived, and hundreds of voters rushed into the elections office on Monday to get their votes counted in time. Nearly 40% of vote-by-mail ballots have already been cast here in Kern County, and thousands more are expected to come in today. County elections officials are urging people to wear a mask while visiting these polling sites. For those who don't want to wear a mask, a county spokesperson said they'll be able to request a poll worker to bring a ballot out to them. Now, there is plenty on the line, as we've talked about, in this election, from the presidency down to local races that will all have a direct impact on you. And joining us this morning to talk more about what we can expect, we're joined by Christian Romo with the Kern County Central Committee and Matthew Martin with the Kern County Republican Party. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us on.
Hey, Christian, let's begin with you real quick. I just want to get your first impression right now of where we are on this election day. It's been a tireless road to get here. It is finally here today. Is the excitement still building, or do you think people have kind of, had enough of it?
I kind of joke around saying that this campaign season actually started November 2016. It's the longest campaign season of our lives. But I think it's like Christmas morning. We're up early. We couldn't sleep all night. The day is finally here. We're mobilized, we're energized, and we're ready to go to hit the polls. And actually, early voting is up all across the country, not just here in Kern County. And it's really up amongst Democrats, which I'm really happy about, obviously. But I think this nation is finally engaged and wants to take part in our elections, which is something we really needed even before this election. So I'm really excited, and we're going to have a big win tonight.
Matthew, what have you seen?
Well, we see a ton of energized voters. We saw 60,000 plus at a President Trump rally yesterday. So the folks in this country are excited about Election Day. Of course, Democrats do tend to vote in higher numbers and early voting, although we've seen in several states like Florida, as well as Nevada, where Republicans have caught up prior to Election Day vote, and Republicans tend to vote in much higher numbers on Election Day itself. So I think we're looking strong as we go into election night here, and I think the president's going to hold on to 4 more years.
They have talked about a record number of mail-in ballots this year and the potential for surge today. Matthew, we'll start with you on this one. Do you think that we're going to see a big surge here locally, or do you think most of these residents, as we've already talked about, thousands of mail-in ballots have already been sent in? Do you think that most of that voting's already been done here in Kern County?
Well, when we look at 2 years ago, about 200,000 voted, and as of last Friday, 158,000, give or take a few thousand there, had cast their ballots here. So I think we're going to see about a 10% higher increase in votes cast than in 2016 here in Kern County.
Christian, do you see, as we were just talking about it and you just heard, the mail-in early tends to be more Democratic, while the surge at the polls tends to be more Republican? Do you think you're going to see that today, or were more Democratic voters today?
Typically the early votes are for Democrats. We like to vote early. We like to get that in. We don't always have the time to go to the polls and wait in the lines. But I think this time, because everything is on the line, people are going to show up and they're going to wait in those lines. They're going to take time out of their day, because this is such a historic election. I think this is the biggest election of our lifetime. So they'll take the time to go out there, and we're going to win big tonight. This is a historic election for many reasons, but I think one of the biggest reasons is that Democrats are going to come out in numbers that we've never seen before.
I'd also like to get both, aside from the presidential race, for both of you, if I could, Christian, start with you. What has been the one biggest issue or biggest battle for a congressional or local seat that you've seen here locally?
I think the biggest race on everyone's minds here locally is the TJ Cox versus David Valadao race. I mean, we see the ads play back to back. Matt and I joke about this all the time, that you see one Valadao commercial and then a TJ Cox commercial, and they're both their packs. I think we're all kind of overwhelmed by these commercials, but I think it's important to, look into the details. What has TJ Cox done for you, and what did David Valadao do for you in the few years that he was in office? Why did TJ Cox beat David Valadao in 2018? Well, that's because the Democratic wave came in and we took him out of office because we held him accountable for what he didn't do. TJ Cox hasn't gone out there and really put in the hard work that this congressional district deserves. So he's going to win again tonight. I feel confident in that, and we're just going to see blue up and down the state and all over the country.
Matthew, do you see Valadao being able to come back and win this?
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, he's worked very hard. He was a bipartisan member of Congress. You know, the only ad that TJ Cox can run is 99%, 99%, 99%. But look, this district, you look at TJ Cox, the first bill he put forward as a member of Congress was to give federal employees a break and give them 0% interest loans, right? This is the top 10 most poor district in the entire nation. And I think that was bad representation. And TJ Cox showed that from day one when he got to Congress. So I think David Valadao has a good chance of recouping this seat. And locally, when you ask, what are different issues, people want to open up. They want to have safe schools. They want to get back to work. We've got to get this economy growing again. As you know, we have high numbers of unemployment in Kern County, and people are just trying to survive, put food on the table, and get back to work. And that's the plan, and that's the platform that President Trump and Vice President Pence bring to the table. I think the American people are going to see that real clearly tonight.
I would like to end right now on a lighter note. We've been doing stories about these different small businesses. For example, there's a bakery that sells Trump cookies, Biden cookies. They say that they have accurately predicted the outcome of a presidential election over the last 3 cycles. Do you put any stake in any of these types of things? Is there one that's your favorite out there? Christian?
Well,
well, let's leave it all up to the cookies, I guess. I mean, I love cookies. If we're predicting that Biden's going to win, sure. But I think it's all going to come down to if you go out there and vote. But have a cookie while you're doing that. Have a cookie while you're waiting in line to go vote.
Matt, what about you?
Well, as they say, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. And
Nicely played.
I think we're going to see tonight Pennsylvania, a lot of great states going for the president once again. I think we have an opportunity to pick up Nevada as well. So looking forward to a decisive victory tonight for the president.
Christian Romo, Matthew Martin, once again, thank you for joining us this morning and providing that insight.